Nobody ever told Steve Cohen that he should split something. Go get as much money as you can when you're, investing in your hedge fund. So if you are Francisco Lindor, you're going to do the same thing. And you owe it to the players in your union to go out and get as much money as you can. So I don't want to hear fans calling in saying, well, he should accept this, he should accept that. It's all negotiation. It's too bad that it's gotten into the papers, that it's gotten into the media and everything, because it really stains the player, because, it's hard to believe that a player would turn down what he's being offered at $32.5 million a year for 10 years. And if you're Francisco Lindor, you have one bite at the apple, and this is it, man. And you got to make as much money as you possibly can. It's obviously life-changing money. But again, from an athlete's perspective, it's too bad that it makes the paper like this. And the reason it makes the paper like this is because I think the team wants to put enormous pressure on the player. And it's bull crap. It's totally bull crap. And if you are the owner who is a gazillionaire and, you think he goes to asset or 72 asset or 70 assets, 72 management, whatever the hell it is. Yeah. Do you think he goes to those guys and says, hey, man, look, we're trying to, not make as much money as we possibly can? Of course they are. That's why he was able to buy the Mets, and that's why we were so excited as Met fans, is that, he would make a deal like this, and eventually he will make this deal at some point. And maybe he'll do exactly what you just said, and that is to raise it another year, another $32 million. Who really cares? I mean, I don't care. Doesn't matter to me. It's his money, and I want him to spend it on the best players that are available to us as players. But I also know he does that. He's got to get Conforto signed. He'll end up having to get Noah signed. And by the way, what I keep saying this, and nobody is reacting to it. I don't know why this is not an important aspect. The best player on the Mets happens to be Jacob deGrom. And maybe it's the best thing Brodie Van Wagenen ever did was pay Jacob deGrom the amount of money that he was, that he ended up getting paid. And if he goes out and has another Cy Young year, you're not going to sit here and tell me that he's not worth more money than he's being currently paid. So, look, it was great that they made the trade for Francisco Lindor. He's one of the top 5 players in baseball. I'm happy about that. I'm happy that he's wearing a Met uniform, and I think he's going to be an unbelievable second, the number 2 hitter in the lineup. And he is going to be the engine that makes this whole thing run. And I think it's great, and I want him here. But, at what point do you say Jacob deGrom is the best and you got to pay him as well? So,
yeah, I mean,
again,
that time will come. That time will come.
And I don't care about the money, honestly, because it's Steve Cohen's money.
Yeah.
And, he came in here brash, in your face. He's on Twitter again. He's asking fans about, these different, the money and all this other stuff. And I don't necessarily know that I like it because it gives us something to talk about, and he's engaged with the fans. But I also think that sometimes you got to be careful about what you're putting out there in the public domain, because it's going to tick off one of your players.
I've been thinking about that from the beginning. I mean, I did like when he was engaging with the fans, but then when it got into contract negotiation stuff, you saw how the whole situation with GameStop and Portnoy ended up having to leave Twitter for a little bit. If I'm Francisco Lindor and Francisco Lindor's agent and I'm seeing him interacting with fans over this contract negotiation, I'm not happy about that. I'm not. And then also I'm thinking, like, during the season, let's say someone's in an 0-for-20 slump or Edwin Diaz blows a save. Is he going to go on Twitter and be like, wow, you guys are right, this guy stinks? I mean, what is he going to do in that situation? I have no idea.
We'll see. I mean, like, some of the stuff, like the black jerseys and all that other stuff.
And they're back. Everybody, they're back.
Whatever. Old Timers Day, all this other stuff. That's kind of good stuff because that's interaction with the fans, and some of the fans want those things, and that's fine. That's all great. But again, when you start discussing contract terms and, kind of making jokes about it and things of that nature, I still think they'll get it done before the start of the regular season. I do. I think they're really close, it sounds like. And
is $60 million in 2 years close?
Well,
I don't know.
We're still talking, you have to remember, he's not Fernando Tatis. He's not 22 years old. He's 27 years old.
And they spread that out over 14 years.
Right, exactly. But this contract right now that he's being offered, and I'm not saying he should accept it. He should do whatever he wants to do. But this contract right now puts him up there in the stratosphere of per year numbers are one of the top in the league. So, I mean, it's not like the Mets are messing around here. They try to get the pitcher Trevor Bauer.
Sure.
They offered him a lot of money. He decided to go to L.A. They're offering Francisco Lindor a lot of money. They're in the ballpark. So I'm not going to sit here and scream and yell about the owner or the player in this regard. I believe that they'll get it done, and hopefully it's done before Thursday. That's the only thing, because you can see just by watching some of the spring training games exactly who Francisco Lindor is.
Yeah, I also think there's a risk on his part, too, in not taking this contract or something close to it.
He blows out an arm, blows out a knee.
I mean,
a hip, flex.
He's staring at $325 million guaranteed.
Again, though, if he doesn't want to accept it, or his agent thinks that they can get more on the open market next year.
I understand.
And remember I was telling you also that what he has to do is he has to look at this now, and he has to say, okay, this is what I have now. If I bet on myself, in order to get what I'm being offered right now, next year, what do I have to get, and who's going to have to pay me?
I got to get MVP votes.
Yeah, but what? In other words, how am I going to make up this money? And will I get a 10-year deal next year? I mean, these are all the things that the player has to ask himself. And again, I am not taking sides on this. I think the Mets and he are in the ballpark of getting a deal done. And I appreciate Steve Cohen making an offer of this magnitude. This would never happen with the previous ownership.
Sure. They would have never made the trade. Yeah.
Right. We wouldn't even be discussing this. So, and I know that the team is better offensively. We know that. Now, whether or not it's, relief staff is going to come apart at the seams or going to carry this team. It's 162 games. There's a lot of opportunity for mistakes, but there's also a lot of opportunity for people to bounce back and be important parts of winning. So the team offensively should be good. Francisco Lindor is going to be the linchpin to all of that. They'll get it done. We're discussing, astronomical numbers, and usually when you get to this number and you're talking about this, I think you're right. I think the sides will meet halfway.
Yeah, I hope so. And you're so right about the fact that this got leaked out from the Mets side, because all this does, because you know what the opinion is from most Mets fans, is $325 million, and you're not accepting that.
And how much is the owner worth?
Yeah, I mean, right. I get it, but this is what the reason why
is anybody questioning how much money he's making on a daily basis?
But this is a fair number. This is a fair offer.
Think about it. The owner can make this for the next 50 years as a hedge fund asset management guy who knows how to manipulate the market, knows how to find the loopholes and all this other crap. Meanwhile, the player has a finite time on the field.
I get it, and I'm not taking the owner's side in this, but you know that most fans are going to feel that way.
I don't want most fans to feel. That's why I'm trying to educate most fans. If the owner is out there doing what he does in his professional life away from baseball, on top of putting money into the baseball team so he doesn't have to pay so many taxes and they can run everything through that, which is what they do, believe you me, the player has every right to go out and get whatever he can possibly get, and he owes it to his union to go out there and get that money.
So you're going like Ajita level 2 out of 10 right now with this Lindor thing.
I'm not at all concerned about it. I just think that it was leaked to these guys just simply because the team is trying to put pressure on the player. And I want the fans just to understand that, this is a 27-year-old. His whole life he's wanted to get to this point. And look, he's making a lot of money this year too, by the way.
Over $20 million.
That's right. It's one of the reasons why the Cleveland Indians traded him in the first place. So it's not as if he's a pauper right now, but his whole life has been this.
Yeah.
This is what he has lived himself or gotten himself to at this point in his life to make this kind of money. And God bless him for it, because he has a talent that very few people in this world have. But he only has a certain amount of time to make the money. And that time is right now. And that's what his agent is basically trying to lay out for him. I'm sure they had a nice dinner the other night, and I'm sure they like each other. And I know Steve Cohen wants to make this deal. He wants to make the deal for two reasons. One, because he knows that Francisco Lindor is a great player. But two, he knows we as Met fans want him here, or at least for the next 10 years. And hopefully he becomes one of the great shortstops, and hopefully he continues on this Hall of Fame track and leads the Mets to many, many victories, and is an offensive spark plug.
Yeah, I think the reason why Mets fans are going to get worried about this is they're thinking, wow, if he's not accepting this deal, that means that he has no intention of being a New York Met, and he wants to go to free agency, and he'd rather spend the rest of his career elsewhere. That would be the fear, because Well, Mets fans are one of those fan bases around here where they're a little bit damaged.
All right.
A little bit damaged.
So I would tell you that forget the Florida teams. No, the Florida teams are not spending this kind of money on them.
Yeah.
So it really comes down to, are the Texas Rangers or the Houston Astros?
The Angels always pay people out
Yeah,
there.
but
the Padres are paying everybody, even though they have a shortstop now.
California.
Yeah.
I keep talking about the taxes. You guys keep laughing at me. When you talk about these numbers, and you look at the taxes that these guys are ending up paying on these numbers, and those taxes are only going to go up. Just remember that. They're only going to go up. That's part of, not the negotiation, but the understanding that the agent is telling the player.
Sure.
And, the Texas Rangers down in Texas, would they be willing to pay him this kind of money next year? And if they are, then hell, you know what? You know how much more money that is in his pocket, especially with all the screaming and yelling going on about taxes right now?
Oh, of course.
So that is part of the negotiation. That's part of the understanding. And Francisco Lindor is getting an education in that regard, saying, okay, if you sign with the Mets and it's for this much money, this is how much you are going to pocket long term. This is going to be the net to you. And I know out there people are listening to me going, this is ridiculous. But I'm telling you, this is a part of the discussion on the player's side. Just so you know that.
Listen, I've understood this. It's something you've tried to
especially
explain to me now for years.
Especially at these numbers.
You talk about the difference in the take-home pay and what's in your pocket. It is significant. So Steve Cohen is 100% back. He's doing interviews. He did an interview with Wayne Randazzo last night. He is back on Twitter. He is interacting with fans. He gave the fans the black jerseys. So he had a little bit of a hiatus. I thought he was going to go back into recluse status, as he was known by his entire life as a hedge fund guy. Wasn't really someone who was out in the media. He loves it now, and he's eating it up. And he delivered that black jersey news last night to Wayne Randazzo like he was giving the gift of the century to the Mets fans. And a lot of Mets fans are excited about that at this point. And I have fond memories of those black jerseys. Do
you have a favorite jersey combination that they have?
Favorite? Oh, I mean the original. I mean the original like pinstripe Met jersey, home jersey. That's I love that. I do like the road script New York grays. Mm-hmm. I mean I do like that. But no, it's the original home pinstripe white with the blue hat. Right. I mean that to me that's the Mets.
To me the all white uniform with the blue hat is by far the crispest.
You don't like the pin? You don't like the pinstripe?
It's not that I didn't say I didn't like them. I just said what I like the best are the all whites with the blue hat, and those uniforms are spectacular.
Yeah, but
spectacular.
I'm surprised at you.
But I also understand why they want to change up the uniforms and bring different colors in and sell more merchandise and all that other stuff. I don't have a problem with it. I mean, I don't really care if they wear black jerseys or not. I mean, I guess there are some fans out there that are just like cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs over them.
Yeah,
I don't really care.
I will. I mean, I'm sort of in between cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and not caring. I do have fond memories of those teams. Like I remember back like 99, 2000 Mets. I remember those teams, and I remember them playing well in those black jerseys. I remember Mike Hampton pitching in the NLCS with those jerseys, and Timo Perez and Benny Agbayani.
I understand.
Mike Piazza, obviously, Eduardo Alfonso.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I remember those, but if they had not brought back the black jerseys, it wouldn't have mattered all that much. I want to see this team get to the postseason, crying out loud.
And as far as the Knicks are concerned, from last night, they win a game in Milwaukee that I don't think anybody thought they were going to win until you see that nobody shows up from Milwaukee. So, so they win that game, and then they lose what was like a throwback game. Last night was like a throwback Knick, defensive, neither team could shoot kind of situation. The starters did not have a great game for the Knicks last night at all. And, obviously Mitchell Robinson is going to be a big loss.
Yep.
There is no question about that. That kid was ready to, I think, explode here the last part of the season. And, now it's about holding on. And, you got to beat Minnesota now. You got to go to Minnesota and you got to beat them and you got to get back on the winning track.
Yeah, Julius Randle, for whatever reason, last night just didn't have it. And you can see the difference with this offense and this team when he doesn't have it. They tried to make up for it. They went on a big run in the second quarter, a 16-0 run, but then Jimmy Butler just took over. In the third quarter, they built up that lead, and then they were just frustratingly bad offensively the rest of the way. I mean, and that Miami team, give them credit. We always talk about the Knicks defense. The Miami Heat defense last night was better than the Knicks defense. I mean, it was just, and I guess because I'm so used to these high-scoring games, even with the Knicks, it's a little bit different because they're not having those 142, 137
this
games.
Is one of the top defensive teams in the league.
But last night was just frustrating as hell. I mean, I really wanted them to pull away when they got up 7 after that big run. I thought that they were going to run and hide. I really did. It just felt like one of those nights, and they never were able to do it. And Kyrie Irving comes back last night. James Harden, another triple-double. The Timberwolves make a furious comeback at the end. They have a couple opportunities to win the game. At the end of the game, they weren't able to hit any shots, and the Nets continue to win.
And the Nets added LaMarcus Aldridge?
They did, yeah.
So I know he's like 36 or 37 years old. I remember when he was playing with Portland.
He was a great player.
And he was going to become available. I wanted the Knicks to go get him, and he ended up going to San Antonio at the time. But just so they add Aldridge and they add Blake Griffin.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these are two, at one point in time, two all-stars that are now going to be asked to play, 15 to 20 minutes maybe?
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. I don't know. I mean, to me, I think Blake Griffin's going to be more of a rotational guy than Aldridge is. I don't know. I was surprised LaMarcus Aldridge wanted to come to the Net. I didn't think his role was really defined, but maybe he just wants to join this team.
Just wants to win a championship.
Championship train.
And
all aboard.
And then go sign, a 2-year deal somewhere else next year. The only other thing I'll tell you is that, when you and I left here on Friday, the trades in the NFL hadn't gone down yet.
Nope.
And that is, I think it's eye-opening that the Jets stayed at number 2. I think we all now know what they want to do, and I'm sure you guys talked about this. And the big question is, what is San Francisco trying to do? And Miami, basically took the Laramie Tunsil trade and made it and took 4 first-round picks out of that.
Sure.
And have rebuilt their franchise and are still in the spot that they wanted to be in, much like the Colts were when they traded with the Jets. The Colts fell to number 6. They got Quentin Nelson, a guy that they identified that they wanted. And I believe that, Miami wants one of these wide receivers.
Yeah, so we've got plenty of time to delve into all that. I'm excited to hear what you think about what the Jets are going to do. We will get into it in just a couple of minutes. Jerry Recco update, plenty more. It is Boomer and Gio on the Fan and CBS Sports Network. Quick break. We'll come right back right after this.
All right, Jay Spring Trick.
Jake from State Farm.
Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the red bell so you're notified when we have new content.